Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the organizers for inviting me. So I come from Today is a New Day Institute for Other Studies, which is a Slovenian NGO that uses digital technologies and the internet to create dialogue on public issues, to facilitate more participation and to push for greater transparency in the decision-making processes and in the policy making. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about the empowering civil society, the importance of including different voices in the policy-making processes around AI and ADM, and how to better support civil society in doing so. So let's just start. I'm going to try to be very brief because I bet you're all very tired. We think that for a fair and inclusive future, we must ensure that the artificial intelligence is developed and deployed to best serve the needs of people and society. I think you already spoke a lot about this today. And too often, that means that AI is shaped by the interests of governments and other tech industry without proper concern for the individuals and communities that it affects. And like you just discussed before, there's also a great potential for bias. And this can lead to technologies that entrench inequality, aggravate social injustice, or undermine people's rights. So I'm sure we all want to avoid this. That means that if the governments really want to create policies that are protecting people and elevating human rights, they need to include different stakeholders in policymaking processes that can bring different perspectives, first-hand lived experiences, and expertise to the table to ask the right questions and help to remove or minimize the biases. So especially when it comes to legislation that is trying to address the topics that have great potential to harm people or are already doing so, listening to the victims, witnesses, and experts is very beneficial and crucial. We already know that technology harms society's most marginalized groups, whether through, for example, AI-assisted policing of racialized groups or surveillance of people on the move, automated decision-making in social service provisions, or countless other implementations. But we all know that decision makers don't necessarily have the knowledge or the experience in the field, or they don't have a reach to the groups that are affected. So this is where the NGOs and the civil society are crucial. Because the non-governmental sector in its daily work already aims to challenge the private and state actors who abuse their powers to support their interest. So we are a part of a big group of NGOs in the EU already tackling the issues of AI and ADM. We're producing position papers, amendments to legislation, trying to build awareness among general public and decision makers about the biases and the things that can happen with the bad legislation. And we're trying to build a strong, resilient, and connected sector. So we were just asking ourselves when we started this project, how can we support the process of including civil society and different people and their voices in the policy-making process on the national level? Because this is already happening on the EU side, but not really on the national level. And we realized there's a big lack of capacities of the NGO sector. And we started to go to events like this, where we can talk to the decision makers, to talk about why is it important to meaningfully engage civil society. And by meaningfully, we always mean not to include organizations into the analyzing the current situations, identifying the needs and risks, and creating actual policies, not just giving feedback at the later stage of the policies. So we think that especially when it comes to the intersection between human rights and technology, it is very important to include different views. So therefore, we concluded that the capacity building for the NGO sector is something that is crucial here. Because not just the technical organizations the ones that have knowledge, like for example, my organization are missing from the debates, but there's a whole sector that's missing. So there is a need for these organizations to develop and increase their expertise and understanding of policy plans and implementations of the AI and ADM. So to disrupt this worrying trend, we're going to try to empower a diverse coalition of NGOs to make itself a key stakeholder in debates regarding the future of AI in Slovenia. As we just heard, the implementation of Slovenian National Program for the Promotion of Development and Use of Artificial Intelligence will be in the full swing in the next few years. And we are expecting that there will be rollouts of different uses of AI and ADM in the public sector, which will set the ethical and legal foundation for future uses. So there is a lot of excitement around AI in Slovenia, with the new ministry, with a lot of research happening, development projects, and organizations working on the topic. But sadly, most of these discussions are focusing on the technical views or political views, and excluding more non-technical expert views. So we are convinced that if civil society does not organize and devote substantial resources to this topic, we could be potentially left on the margins of the debate and see potentially dangerous uses of AI and ADM. So to address this, we're going to try to build capacity of the sector. We will do this by organizing different lectures like this one today, but for NGO sector, we will try to share views from other organizations from Europe that have more experience and they have advice on how to work in the field. And we will be preparing also materials to inform the sector about the basics of AI and how it can potentially affect human rights. It will be important to design the activities and materials in a way that will be useful and accessible for non-technical people. So organizations that have expertise in various fields of human rights, but they don't necessarily have the technical expertise or deeper understanding of AI. So it is very important to emphasize that these organizations are already experts in their specific fields regarding the protection of human rights, but are excluded from discussions around AI because of their lack of basic knowledge around AI and their inherent fear of technology. So this is one part that we're going to be doing the capacity building. And at the same time, it is also important to support the organizations with transparency and accountability mechanisms that provide information about AI and ADM uses to the public, informing and enabling civil society to demand justification for such uses. So if tools with information are not coming from the governments that should be more transparent and open in their policy-making processes, civil society needs to address this issue on its own. So we're going to try to do this by running some monitoring activities, culminating in a register of use of AI and ADM in the Slovenian public sector that will hopefully enable more database advocacy and research from the NGO sector, while at the same time pressuring decision makers to actually be more transparent themselves. We will be doing this and building on top of the efforts that were already made in the past in the EU, specifically the Automating Society report from the 2020, which is really interesting, and I ask you all to read it. It's very insightful. That was produced with Algorithm Watch and Bertelsmann Stiftung collaboration, and this report holds a lot of information on how AI-based systems are being used in the public sector in the EU, and it sheds light on what role automated decision-making has in this, in our lives and in the public sector. So to conclude all this, we believe that the more technically equipped and coordinated NGO sector will bring more transparency and accountability to the ADM in the public sector by responding to it with standard setting, application of reference projects, and the use of AI and ADM with variety of activities ranging from like soft law approaches, awareness building, media and public pressure, addressing specific cases with advocacy, strategic litigation, and other means. We really believe that building a strong and connected sector and empowering all the players that already have all the necessary expertise to deal with this issue is the way to go. And I would like to finish with some thoughts for you. There is a relationship to be built between the policy and decision makers and civil society. So inputs from the civil society create added value to the policy planning and implementation process. They enhance the legitimacy, the quality, understanding, and long-term applicability of the policy initiatives. So in order to do so, civil society needs a more proactive approach from the policy and decision makers that need to publish information in a transparent, open, inclusive, and accessible way. They need to open you need to open the policy and decision-making processes and be more proactive in building connections and cooperations. So I ask you, if you have the power to change this process and make it more inclusive, please all do so. Thank you.